Hello, my name is Dylan, and today we're going to be choosing the class of our Pathfinder character. If you haven't already watched the first video we picked our race and other thematic things. Now we're going to do our class. The class is probably the most important part of making your character. This is where the majority of your abilities are going to come from. This is where, if you're a spellcaster class, where all of your spells are going to come from. This is where it tells you what kind of weapons and armor you can use for the most part. And so this is, game-wise, the biggest part of your character. And so for new players, I don't recommend making a magic user if this is your first character, just because magic users are far more complicated than the mundane characters, and mundane characters are no less fun to play. Also, for my guys in particular, I want you to be using the core classes. I don't want you going into any of the more advanced stuff. And so the core classes are Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, and Wizard. And again, for the new guys, probably want to stay away from Sorcerer, Wizard, Cleric, and Druid, and the Bard as well. They're all the magic classes. And so let's get started. Okay, you can look through the classes to see which one you prefer. My dwarf is going to be a fighter this time. Now you'll notice the first bit of text is similar to when we chose race, in that the first bit is just thematics and what your class is generally motivated by. And then the next bit you'll see here is the role. Now the role of a class is generally divided into frontline, support, and ranged damage. And so that's just to give you an idea of what your role in the party will be. And then just below that, you see alignment, any, for a fighter. Some classes have limits on alignment, which I showed you in the last video. My dwarf is lawful good. And so if you decide to pick a class that has restrictions on alignment, you may have to change your character alignment on your sheet. The next thing is hit dice. Now, this is how much health you gain every time you take a level in that class. And so, in the case of a fighter, I get a D10. Now, the first time you take a level, so level 1, you get the maximum hit dice, which means my character will start out with 10 hit dice, and then after that, you roll a D10, and whatever that score is, you add to your hit dice, plus your constitution modifier, which we'll get to in the next video. So once you figure out what your hit dice is, you simply put it in the HP total area right here. And so for a fighter, it's 10. I will be adding to this once I figure out my constitution modifier, but just for now, I'm writing it in here. Okay, on the class page, you'll see this little area called class skills. This is the various not necessarily combat things that your character would be good at, such as swimming or crafting new items, or a profession, which is doing a job just to make money. Now, what you want to do is you want to take note of all of the class skills that your character has, and then go over to your character sheet. You may notice that the first page is dominated by the skills list. And so find the class skills that your character has, and just check them off in the boxes to the left of the name. Now at the bottom of class skills, you can see here, it says skills per level. And so this is 2 plus intelligence modifier. We haven't made any of our modifiers yet, so we're going to just hold off on that until the next video. Alrighty, if you're on the website, this will probably come up before the class skills, but in the book class skills comes first. But I want you to look at this chart before looking at anything else. Now every class will have this chart, and it just tells you what you get for each level. So for a fighter, at the first level, their base attack bonus is +1, their fortitude save is +2, reflex +0, and will is +0. We'll look at special in a moment, but I want you to take So for fighters, take the base attack bonus and fortitude save and bring it over to your character sheet. So on your character sheet, you'll see this little section here. You got base attack bonus down in the middle there, and then fortitude, reflex, and will across the top. Now, what we want to be doing with these is marking in the base save for fortitude was 2 for fighters, and then 0 for reflex and 0 for will. Whenever there's a 0, I like to just keep it blank. It keeps the page clean for a little bit longer, and then we can write in a score once we actually get one. And then the base attack bonus was +1, so I just put a 1 in there. Now we move on to the main body of the text, which is class features. So the beginning of each class feature will be weapon and armor proficiencies. So fighters are proficient with all simple and martial weapons, as well as all armor, light, medium, and heavy, and shields, including tower shields. And so you don't need to write this down, but you may want to refer to it whenever you're trying to determine what weapons you're able to use at the time. One thing I forgot to mention in the last video is some races also have weapon familiarity, which gives them access to different types of weapons also, in the same way that the class feature weapon choices will affect. Now, the rest of the text is other things that you get per level. Now again, if you look at the chart that we were talking about a moment ago, that'll tell you which abilities you gain at each level. For a fighter, it's just a bonus feat at the first level. But for every other level, you get various things. For instance, at level 2, a fighter gets another bonus feat plus bravery +1. At level 3, he gets armor training. At level 4, he gets another bonus feat. And this just continues on all the way to level 20. Other classes gain different things at each level. For instance, the monk gains a bonus feat, but also gains flurry of blows, stunning fist, and unarmed strike at level 1. And at level 2, he gains another bonus feat plus evasion. And so the thing here is, look for what your character gets at level 1, and it will be in the class feature text. Now, leveling up in Pathfinder is a little different than in a lot of games. You don't necessarily have a level 14 character. You might have a level 4 druid and a level 10 fighter, which together makes 14 levels, but it's the same character with levels in 2 different classes. So when you're putting in your character level, you don't just put in level 1. For this character, my dwarf, I'm going to have to put in fighter 1. And the reason for this is I've now taken 1 level in fighter. Once I get enough experience to get to level 2, I can either take another level in fighter, in which case I will take the bonus feat and bravery +1 from the fighter chart, or I can take level 1 in another class, in which case I would take the level 1 benefits of that class. Now, this is called multi-classing, which is a little more complicated and probably best avoided for new players in a special, but I might make another video specifically for multi-classing. But for now, that's pretty much the broad strokes of it. Now, because my fighter is level 1, the only class features he gained was a bonus feat, which means I didn't actually end up writing anything down on the second page, because I'm going to get to feats in the next video. But most classes have other things than bonus feats, and for all of the special things that you get from picking your class, you generally put in special abilities, and that would follow the same guidelines as the racial abilities from last video. So this video was a little bit shorter. There was a lot of stuff we couldn't fill out because you don't know enough about the game yet to put it on the charts. But that will be fixed in the next video, where I'll be showing you how to roll for your stats, and then we'll be able to fill in the rest of your page. Also, I'll be showing you how to pick feats and how that applies to your character. And other than that, as always, I hope you learned something from this video, and have a good one.